Guys, coming up this month in Venture with Gavin and I, all the tech, venture, and news. Stay tuned. Hey guys, real quick, before we start the next vlog, I want to bring you up to speed on a really cool company. Startups and scale-ups, check this out. wearelunar.co is a great place for you and your business to start off with phenomenal accounting and legal services. So if you're a startup or a scale-up looking for legal and finance support, or alternatively looking to raise capital, wearelunar.co is where you need to be starting off. These guys have been doing it for as long as the dinosaurs have roamed Earth. And if you mention this vlog, they'll give you $200 credit towards your first kickoff. Gav,
yes.
It was great to see you at dinner last night.
Digi-sit was off the charts.
Off its head.
Yes.
I got to sit in your seat as you ducked to the toilet with Rachel Newman. Firstly, it was great to see her. I miss her. She's been living in Bali for an extended period of time. Yeah. But she said, replace the seat, one vlogger to another.
That's right. That's
so
right.
It's good.
We were doing some warm-ups, but here we are.
So
ready.
Bali is a far distance, or Indonesia is a far distance from New Zealand. But let's start in New Zealand.
We're going to kick off today with a couple of capital raises out of Kiwi, out of, what do they say, across the ditch? Is that what they call it?
Pond?
I don't know, the pond.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're going to ask Bex. We need Bex here to give us the info. A couple of cap raises. So Auror raised $72 million at a valuation over $500 million. That is creating serious scale, founded in New Zealand and now is in Australia, the US and other markets. Crimson Education, which has been around for a while, just raised their Series D.
Yep. Crimson
67 million New Zealand.
Crimson was supposed to move into here to launch Australia, but didn't end up happening. But yes, Crimson.
And Alimetry raised 27 million for a gut health startup.
I saw this. It's another wearable that we have to put on our body.
One of my nephew just had his birthday and he's got this Whoop thing. Have you seen this Whoop thing?
Yeah.
He's got an Apple Watch on one side and a Whoop on the other side. There's way too much tech out there.
It's too much. Why can't we just integrate?
I don't know. We need to get onto that. We were just talking about AI and Apple Intelligence and Google Gemini, and even those things need to integrate with
I think so,
systems. But it's not all up and to the right for these startups. There was also a couple of startups that called in the administrators over the past month, which is, it's all part of the startup world. Not all of them can become, unicorn businesses. One was Equitise, a local crowdfunding business. Another one was Hivery, which was a Tiger Global and Blackbird-backed startup as well.
Couple things on that. Firstly, interesting stat that really only about 10% or sub 10% of startups actually make it beyond into that. I think there's sort of like potentially a bit of a curse. Like if Tiger's backing you, there's tons of money coming through. I think it's very similar to Masa out of Japan. Yeah. Just too much money coming in and the party ends up dying pretty quickly. No?
Yes.
No,
for founders out there, it's a real balance between how much debt do they raise, how much equity do they raise, how much dilution is that, what's the impact on their trajectory. These are really, really important decisions for founders to make along their journey. But let's talk about some bigger businesses. Let's talk about some people movements. There's been some major shifts in some of the big tech companies out of Australia and the US from a people perspective. Yep. Where do you want to start?
Well, my old next door neighbor, talk about shifting. He left me. We've all
heard this story.
He left me. He was my next door neighbor, Anthony Eisen. Used to throw the ball with him and the dogs down the beach. He left me, but now he's leaving Afterpay.
He is. So if you recall, Afterpay got sold to Block, which was Square, Jack Dorsey's startup. Yep. Nick Molnar and Eisen sold their business for, I think it was like $39 billion, the largest corporate transaction out of Australia. It's been 10 years since they started that business, and Eisen is hanging up his boots, his executive boots. Yep. He'll still stay on the board of the Australian entity, but hanging up his boots. Meanwhile, Nick Molnar is now head of global sales for Block, reporting directly into Jack Dorsey in the US, living in the US.
On your Nick. I went to school with Nick. Nick was a few years younger than me. But him, I actually caught up with his competitor the other day as well, Larry Diamond, who also went to school with, ZipPay. It's just great to see these guys kicking goals and from humble beginnings. Koala.
Koala.
I was thinking
mattress.
about this. I sleep on a koala mattress every night.
So remember that business Milk Run?
Yes.
So Dany Milham was I think he was like a co-founder of Koala, went and founded Milk Run. Milk Run exploded, and then sold off, and then he's back now, CEO of Koala.
Back to Koala.
At Atlassian, they've had for over a year a gap in their executive leadership team around the Chief Revenue Officer. They've just appointed Chief Revenue Officer. A month after Scott Farquhar, one of the co-founders, stepped down of his executive position. Mike Cannon-Brookes, the other co-founder, who's now sole CEO of Atlassian, released the results to the market. The market loved it, and now Scott and Mike are $5 billion richer.
Shoo. And Scott's been on holidays.
One business that Scott's been mentoring since the early days is Safety Culture. And Luke Annie has been the CEO, I think, for 20 years or something like that. Yesterday, breaking news. He has hung up his CEO boots. He's moving into the executive chair role, and they're bringing in a tech executive from the US to run that business.
I like that.
We are hammering.
Well, I was going to say, we've got a couple of minutes. We haven't talked about Canva or Tesla yet.
Well, we're about to get right into that. Right. So Canva have just announced a new CFO. So their founding CFO left a year ago through some cloudy stories, like there was some, I don't know, some stories out there, whatever. Anyway, Canva's hired the Zoom CFO. She took Zoom to IPO, that blockbuster IPO that we know about. And so that took place. Canva also did a secondary transaction to give money back to some early investors at close to a $50 billion valuation.
Incredible.
So up and to the right there, Tractor Ventures co-founder April Enright is moving on to focus on her career in art. Moving on from the Tractor, so that leaves Matt and Jody at the helm.
Saw Matt last night at dinner.
He was sitting on the other side.
Oh yeah, of course. Still wearing the same hat.
Still wearing the
same
hat.
Does he have like a different hat for different days? I wonder
whether, like with my black t-shirts, I got like a whole lot of black t-shirts. He's just got a whole lot of hats. And then the last one, second last one, WiseTech Global, billionaire Richard White's resigned. It was all over the papers over the past couple of weeks. He's moved into a long-term consulting role, still being paid $1 million a year, but he's not in the CEO seat. So,
so I heard an amazing stat from WiseTech. An amazing stat. They've never, ever lost a customer.
What?
Ever. Incredible SaaS lock-in business.
Zero churn.
Yeah, zero churn. They've got incredible lock-in, but they're serving a very niche market in supply chain logistics.
Built up that business to a $47 billion business over 30 years. Like, this is not an overnight success story.
That's right.
Do you want to talk about Elon Musk? Should we throw his name in there?
Oh, let's go.
So Elon Musk, the richest person in the world, $270 billion he's worth. He's just taken on a new role in government, Department of the Government Efficiency.
Doge.
So we're gonna switch tack from people to robots. If you guys recall, last month we spoke about the We Robot event from Tesla, where they released the robotaxi and all these other products. Well, it seems like the news has just been flying over the past month. So Zoox, Amazon bought Zoox. Blackbird were an early investor and piled a lot of money into Zoox. They sold it to Amazon. They're now launching their robotaxi service in San Francisco and Las Vegas.
I'm excited. I'm not a fan, but I'm excited.
Okay, so let's see if you're a fan of this one. Alphabet owned Waymo, which is Alphabet also owns Google. So Waymo and Google, I guess, are sister companies. They've just raised $5.6 billion to bring their robotaxi to market. So I asked you, open up a service in LA, your old hometown.
But I ask you this: that experience compared to a Tesla is very similar to an Android and an iPhone. It's just not polished.
A lot of our friends who are going over to San Francisco are sending us videos inside the Waymo and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Google have a new competitor on the market. In the past month, OpenAI have released their GPT search. Now, results are, touch and go and stuff like that, but Google definitely has AI and GPT hot on their tail to be able to compete with.
Every time I open Gmail, it's asking me to.
Well, they've had dominance for 30 years now, so competition is rife. So just to finish off, talk a bit about space.
Let's go.
So Australian startup Gilmour Space have been granted approval to launch their rockets, Australian-made rockets. They're going to compete with SpaceX in some of SpaceX's area. But that is a huge win for Australia and for Gilmour Space.
I'm excited for Australia, but I would never, ever, ever compete with Elon. Ever. So good luck with that one, guys.
Well done, guys, on the approval that you received, and that's a wrap.
See you next one.